What's up YouTube, it's Skinsy here again, and today I'm going to tell you about 10 reasons that I am hyped for Cyberpunk 2077. Now I know if anyone watches this, a few of you will be like, but Skinsy, the AAA gaming industry is a dumpster fire and keeps putting out greedy half-finished games, so getting hyped is dangerous. And to that I say, okay, fair enough, I agree with you most of the time, but I also think there are some good reasons that Cyberpunk has been called the most anticipated game by several news outlets and award shows recently, and I'll cover the reasons why I think this time it is totally okay to be hyped. So here they are in no particular order. The first reason that I'm hyped isn't specifically about 2077, but more the subgenre of cyberpunk in general. Cyberpunk as a subgenre has been around as early as the 1960s and 1970s in science fiction writing, and it's one of my favorite styles of sci-fi. Although its growing popularity spawned a handful of movies and games over the years, up until recently there have been hardly any modern video games with cyberpunk themes, with the Deus Ex series being some of the only exceptions. As they say though, rising waters raise all ships, and the insane popularity and anticipation of 2077 has led to the announcement of other games in the style, like Lo-Fi, Ghostrunner, Cloudpunk, and the list goes on and on. So if you are a fan of the dark future, there's a lot to look forward to. My number 2 reason to be pumped for Cyberpunk 2077 is its amazing soundtrack. A phenomenal lineup of artists has been announced, including Grimes, A$AP Rocky, Refused, Run the Jewels, and many others, not to mention original songs by CD Projekt Red's own sound team. What I love most here is that CDPR didn't just go for the obvious choices. What I mean by that is they didn't just grab whoever happens to be the most popular at the moment, and I think that's great because all the artists they picked really push the limits of their respective genres and try things that no one else is doing. From the dark and ethereal pop refrains of Grimes to the hard-hitting lyrics and crazy creativity of Run the Jewels, there will definitely be something interesting to listen to for everyone on this soundtrack. Coming in at number 3, I am excited for Cyberpunk because of this guy. His name is Mike Pondsmith, and he's the original creator of Cyberpunk 2013 and later 2020, the tabletop games from the late 80s and early 90s that 2077 is based on. This guy has been building the Cyberpunk universe and creating its story for 30 years, so having him involved in this project is huge. There have been lots of movie and game adaptations done without the creator's involvement, and they usually tend to end up not great, or at least not as great as they could be. Mike has said in interviews that he is heavily involved in the game's production, and that's great news, especially since he has experience in the video gaming industry working as a design manager for Microsoft. CDPR already make amazing games on their own, so this collaboration should be epic. In today's gaming landscape, it's easy to feel like every AAA company thinks you are just some kind of magic piggy bank they can empty over and over. But my 4th reason to be hyped is that CDPR is heavily pro-consumer. In 2017, co-CEO Adam Kaczynski fired shots on Twitter when he said, "We leave greed to others," and his company has proven time and time again he wasn't kidding. Examples of this include CDPR telling their fans in a letter not to pre-order Cyberpunk if they aren't sure they want to, offering a free upgrade of the game on next-gen systems, and calling it nuts to put microtransactions in a single-player role-playing game. There are even more examples of CDPR making sure their products are a good value, but I decided to break those into separate items on this list for clarity, so on to the next one. The number 5 reason I am totally excited for Cyberpunk is DLC. Now, I know that sounds crazy since companies usually nickel and dime you with content that easily could have been included in the base game, but that's just not the case with this company. They have already detailed the amount of free DLC they will be releasing is, in their words, substantial, and that the bigger expansions they plan on charging for will be about as big as the expansions from The Witcher 3. That means they will be enormous. Both expansions combined took about 40 hours to finish, and that is if you don't spend too much time looking around. I feel confident that CDPR isn't just blowing smoke when they say that we are going to get a good value for our money. Speaking of being a great deal, reason number 6 I am totally excited for this game is the insane amount of free stuff that comes with the base $60 version of the game. When you buy a physical copy, you get stickers, postcards, a map, a cool reversible cover, a compendium book about the game's lore, and digital goodies like a rulebook for the pencil and paper Cyberpunk 2020 game, wallpapers, an art book, and the game's soundtrack. This is just insane. Most special editions of games these days don't even look this good, and CDPR is just throwing in all this stuff because they want to. I mean, to put this into perspective, the soundtrack for the Final Fantasy remake costs almost $80 on top of the price of the game, but not here. We get it for free along with loads of other stuff, and I can't wait. My 7th reason to be hyped for Cyberpunk is that I look forward to exploring the incredible world that CDPR and Mike Pondsmith are building for it. I know exploration isn't every gamer's cup of tea, but for the people that do like it, there is undoubtedly going to be so much here that it's unbelievable. The game's producer Richard Borzamowski said its world might be a little bit smaller than The Witcher 3, and that's totally okay by me, because you could most likely spend 1,000 hours walking around the base content of The Witcher and still not notice every detail. Storytelling goes hand in hand with exploration, so coming in at number 8, I'm excited for this game because I'm sure it's going to have a wonderful, emotional, immersive storyline just like The Witcher. I mean, sure, The Witcher was based on a book series, but the author of it famously said that he doesn't think that video games can tell a story, so chances are CDPR probably handled most of the writing on the game by themselves. But this time, between the creative genius of Mike Pondsmith and CDPR, I know the story of this game will draw you in and leave you wondering what will happen next as you make your way through the dark dystopian world of Night City and its surrounding area, and I couldn't anticipate it more. Now, I'm totally going to fanboy out for a bit, because reason number 9 I can't wait for Cyberpunk is that Keanu Reeves is playing a pretty significant role in the game. In fact, GameSpot reported that Reeves asked if he could be in the game for twice as long as he was originally supposed to. Actors that are passionate about a role almost always give the best performances, and he has already shown his chops in a few roles that were fairly close to this genre, so this should be one to watch. Aside from that, he's just such a likable guy, what with his whole
You're breathtaking!
that became a meme on the internet for weeks. There are even whole videos about how he is one of the nicest guys in Hollywood, and that is just awesome. And my last reason to be excited for Cyberpunk is that it seriously has a great community already. I think to some extent great communities make for great games, and CDPR themselves have been so nice to all the fans when they take the time to answer our questions. They have even taken the time to do interviews with some of the great content creators right here on YouTube. The Triple S League, Mad Queen Show, Last Known Meal, and the Neon Arcade run a Cyberpunk community podcast, and you can find some interviews with the Cyberpunk team there too. Plus, they are all just really cool people who take the time to respond to their viewers too. Well, that about wraps up my top 10 reasons to be hyped for Cyberpunk, and if you stuck around until this far in the video, I just really want to let you know that that means a lot to me. I know this was kind of a long one, and as a new content creator, I just wanted to let you know that I really appreciate you. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments below if there are any reasons you are hyped for Cyberpunk that I may have missed, or just let me know if we're excited for the same stuff. Thanks again, and I'll see you on the next one.